Today, I will be rewinding to Damian Lillard's rookie season and completely taking away his loyalty. He'll still be drafted to the Trailblazers as the 6th overall pick and start off as an 84 overall. The goal here is for Dame to win 3 championships, but every year that he does not win a championship, he will be changing teams. But it won't be an easy task facing some of the best super teams in the NBA. But for now, he's stuck in Portland because of the 2 guaranteed years on his rookie contract. He would use this time to develop his game and make an impact on the league, averaging 24 points per game, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. And he would also go 48 and 34 in his rookie season with the Blazers. Dame would end up losing in the first round to the Warriors and having to watch the league's best super teams dominate the playoffs. On the East, LeBron, Chris Bosh, and D Wade would make Miami proud, taking them to the conference finals. And on the West, KD, Westbrook, and James Harden would be doing the exact same thing for their city. But loyalty would prevail, and it would be at the hands of D Rose and Stephen Curry that neither super team would make it to the finals. And ultimately, D Rose would beat the Warriors in 5 games to secure his first ever NBA championship. This upset hurt OKC badly and caused them to trade James Harden to Philly, pairing him with a prime Drew Holiday. James Harden no longer being on OKC looked like an opportunity to make something big happen in the West with Portland, but instead they would end up going into the playoffs as a 7th seed and they would end up losing to a Hardenless OKC. This caused Dame to become upset and lash out on his teammates for their poor performance.
Cost us the game, man.
As for the finals, Mike Conley and the Grizzlies would make it out of the tough Western Conference and end up facing D Rose and the Bulls, who are looking to get back-to-back championships. Derrick Rose would continue to put on a show, but an unstoppable Mike Conley would go for 40 points in Game 5 that would make the Grizzlies our new NBA champions. Now that the 2-year clause on Lillard's contract was up, he could now show his true colors and demand that Portland release him from his contract. Eventually, Portland would let him go from his team option contract, and this is where Dame would make one of the craziest signings in NBA history. He would complete one of the biggest super teams ever seen before and sign with the Miami Heat, pairing him with Chris Bosh, D Wade, and LeBron James. And as you would expect, they would dominate the league, with Damian Lillard upping his assist average to 7.3 per game and LeBron averaging nearly 30 points per game and a triple-double. This Miami Heat team would finish as the #1 seed in the East. LeBron would also be awarded the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year awards, giving the Heat plenty of momentum going into the playoffs. But they would also have to battle through some of the league's top franchise loyal point guards in order to move forward. To start off, Dame and the Heat would first have to tackle through John Wall and the Wizards. In this series, John Wall would average 30 points per game, but it would not be enough to handle multiple 40-point games from LeBron James, leading to a 4-1 series win for the Miami Heat. Derrick Rose and the Bulls would then be the next stepping stone for this rising Miami Heat dynasty. But in Game 6, Dame would go off for 34 points and 4 assists, leading to a 32-point blowout win that would advance Miami to the conference finals. This is where James Harden and Drew Holiday would get a chance to prove who really runs the Eastern Conference. James Harden would drop 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists in Game 1 to set the tone, but ended up losing the game 111 to 115. This would be a continuing trend as the Heat would sweep the 76ers, but LeBron would drop a historic performance in Game 4, dropping 56 points, 17 rebounds, 16 assists, and 5 steals. This performance would send social media on a frenzy with talks on if LeBron James is undisputedly the greatest of all time. On the flip side, Harden would question if staying in Philly is even worth it anymore. But the final obstacle between Dame and his first championship would be OKC, the team that took Dame out the playoffs last season. But this Thunder team would now feature Zach LaVine and Julius Randle, giving KD and Russ the pieces needed to make it further into the playoffs. In Game 1, Damian Lillard would drop 18 points, 6 assists, and 2 steals while holding Westbrook to only 14 points on 5 for 14 shooting, showing a defensive performance that many people did not expect from Dame. This alongside LeBron and D Wade combining for 50 points helped the Heat take Game 1, 114 to 100. In Game 2, the original Big Three would outshine Damian Lillard's 17-point performance and lead to a 15-point win at home. home. In Game 3, Zach LaVine would show out for the Thunder with 22 points, but LeBron would put up another triple-double, and Dame would support that well with a 27-point performance that would give Miami a 3-0 lead. And in Game 5, Damian Lillard would drop 27 points that would be outshined by another LeBron 35-point triple-double, ultimately bringing Dame to his first ever NBA championship. While Dame would bask in the glory of his first ring, the media would start to question if this ring truly counts, because many people felt like LeBron carried him and LeBron was the one to get Finals MVP. But Dame would ignore this and focus on getting back-to-back championships until this would happen during the offseason. Where is LeBron? There's no way he retired, right? I will cry right now. And just like that, LeBron leaving Miami would change the course of this team's season. The Heat just wouldn't be the same after this, alongside D-Wade and Chris Bosh starting to decline from the wear and tear on their bodies. Dame would try his best to lead this Heat team by averaging close to 30 points per game, but they would unfortunately end with a 39-43 team record. Even with this under 500 record, they would still make the playoffs as a 6th seed in the lopsided Eastern Conference. But in the second round, they would run into the 2nd seed Atlanta Hawks, being led by Klay Thompson, Lou Williams, and Jeff Teague. Miami ended up losing the series 4-1, but Dame would have a master plan under his sleeve that nobody would expect to come. During the offseason, Dame would sign with the Oklahoma City Thunder, the team he rivaled with for the past 2 years, showing a new level of disloyalty that would be shamed on. However, Dame only cares about getting championships, so this media hate could never get to him mentally, and he would average 23.1 points per game and 9 assists per game on the season. Pairing this alongside KD's 24 points per game, Westbrook's 22 points per game, and Zach LaVine's 17 points per game would get OKC in the 2nd seed with a 65-17 record. This new Thunder team would make it all the way to the conference finals, but would have to take down a number 1 seeded Rockets team led by Jrue Holiday. Really came to the West, bro. He really came to the West with D-Book as well. So it seems after the first year of the Philly Big Three not getting a championship, the questionable Sixers front office sent Jrue Holiday to Houston and James Harden to the Trailblazers. But the Thunder was ready for Jrue and the Rockets, and KD would give a 33-point and 15-rebound performance in Game 4 that would end the series for the Rockets, advancing OKC to the NBA Finals. This is where Dame and the Thunder would run into none other than the 76ers LeBron James and a 95 overall Chris Paul. With Dame's growing animosity towards LeBron, Dame would go off for 28 points and 7 assists in Game 1, giving OKC a 1-0 lead. In Game 2, it would be a collective scoring frenzy from KD, Zach LaVine, and Lillard that would give them a 2-0 lead. In Game 3, LeBron would show why he is one of the greatest with a 43-point, 7 rebound, and 9 assist performance, and it would be paired with a Chris Paul 30-point and 13 assist stat line. But it would not be enough against Dame's 27 points and 10 assists next to KD scoring 37 points with 9 rebounds. And in Game 4, a mirrored 20-point performance from Westbrook and Dame would ultimately lead OKC to a 4-0 sweep against LeBron and winning the NBA championship. And when it comes to the Finals MVP, Kevin Durant would receive this award, still giving the media something to cling on to when it comes to Dame's legacy. But why would Dame care when he's one step closer to finally getting his 3rd championship, only 5 years into his career? Next season, the Thunder would go on a tear again, and Dame would find himself playing his old Portland team in the 2nd round with James Harden as their leading star. James Harden would average 32 points per game throughout the series, and Dame would only be able to put up 19 points per game. But dominant performances from Russ and KD willed OKC through this series to a 4-1 win. OKC would again run into the tough Houston team with 2 MVP candidates in Jrue Holiday and Jabari Parker, and these 2 MVP runner-ups would put on a show, dropping 30+ points apiece throughout the series. That would also be supported by prime Kyle Lowry and Devin Booker that would both drop 20 points a night. This super team would be too much for Dame and take the Thunder out the playoffs in 6 games, and ultimately the Houston Rockets would win an NBA championship. And just like that, Dame would be packing his bags and leaving Oklahoma City. In the offseason, he would enter free agency and end up on the Milwaukee Bucks with De'Aaron Fox and a struggling Kawhi Leonard. And they were the worst team in the NBA NBA with only 15 wins. This time in Milwaukee gave Dame time to progress and showed the league his skills, averaging 33.6 points per game and improving their record to 44-37, putting them in the 3rd seed. And in the second round, Dame would run into LeBron and the Sixers once again. That would go to a Game 7 in Philly.
I like that. I know what Damian Lillard's doing.
But before Dame switches teams, LeBron would make it to the NBA Finals and take a 3-1 lead over the Houston Rockets. But Chris Paul would suffer a strained left quad in Game 5, leading to the Sixers blowing a 3-1 lead that would give Jrue Holiday back-to-back rings.
Damian Lillard, back to free agency, you go.
And Dame would be right back in Oklahoma with only one thing in mind, and that's his 3rd NBA championship. Dame would average 22.4 points per game and 10 assists, while Westbrook would struggle to play throughout the season due to an injury. OKC would still finish 60-22, earning the 2nd seed spot in the Western Conference, and now Dame would once again run into the unstoppable Houston Rockets team that is looking to complete a three-peat. But this time around, OKC was ready for the challenge, taking a 3-1 lead over them. But in Game 5, injury would plague this Thunder team, with Dame having a twisted left knee and Westbrook having a twisted right knee, putting them out for 1 to 2 weeks. This gave Jrue and the Rockets the opportunity to push the series to a Game 7, leaving all hope in KD to make something happen and to save this Thunder season. And because of poor performances by his teammates in Game 5 and Game 6, KD would take the game into his own hands in Game 7 and go for 51 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists on 16 for 26 shooting. This would give the Thunder a 8-point win in Game 7, advancing them to the NBA Finals and giving Lillard and Westbrook time to come back from their injuries and put on a show for Oklahoma City. In the Finals, the Thunder would be put up against the Orlando Magic, led by Giannis and D'Angelo Russell. The series would be a close one with a tie at 1-1 with Dame still not playing. But in Game 3, Dame would make a return with his twisted knee still not healed and drop 30 points and 10 assists in a blowout victory. In Game 4, the Thunder would push the lead to 3-1 with Dame dropping 26 points, but D'Angelo Russell would drop 42 points. And this kind of performance would leak over to the next games of the series, where in Game 5, D'Angelo Russell would drop 43 points in a 20-point blowout victory, and in Game 6, Dario Saric would drop an unexpected 30 points to force a Game 7 in the NBA Finals. But in Game 7, Lillard would play the whole game, now fully healed from his injury, and take control of the game by dropping 32 points and 8 assists, bringing him to his 3rd NBA championship. Now, let's put another loyal NBA player to the test, but first comment down below who you'd like to see.